Final Fantasy X-2 was recently released in Japan, and we've had the opportunity to check out the import version of the game. For those of you not familiar with it, Final Fantasy X-2 sort of continues the story of Yuna, who was one of the main characters in Final Fantasy X, and it actually follows her adventures post Final Fantasy X in a very different world than the game that we saw in Square's classic RPG. There's been a lot of talk, some of it positive, some of it mortified from some of the more ardent Final Fantasy fans about how very different X-2 is from pretty much anything that's been done before. Traditionally, the Final Fantasy games have been self-contained and have not really lent themselves very well to sequels just because of the way the stories have been told, but Square has opted to sort of go in a different direction with this one that has allowed them to end up with almost an entirely new story for Yuna, which is very cool. Now, even though it's kind of related to Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X-2's gameplay and graphics have actually very little in common with the original game. The graphics engine has actually been tightened up quite a bit and improved, so you're going to see better detail. It's a cleaner looking game overall. Graphically, the art style and such is pretty similar, so there's not going to be anything too shocking. However, the gameplay is sort of where X-2, I guess, finds its own voice. It's weird because it's a mix of very campy elements that is very, very reminiscent of Charlie's Angels, actually, because it's going to focus on Yuna, Riku, and a new character called Pine. And they're sort of off adventuring as sphere hunters, and there's a lot of wacky stuff that goes on. The opening sequence is actually a combination J-pop concert and fight, and that sort of shifts into the traditional exploration and combat stuff that you usually find in the games. You have a mix of very serious stuff, actually, because one of the story elements in the game is Yuna has found a sphere, which is a lot like the Jack spheres from Final Fantasy X because it has like a video clip in it, pretty much. And this clip shows what appears to be Tidus imprisoned and clearly not happy about it. So obviously, because the connection between the two, Yuna is very motivated to sort of collect spheres and sort of discover maybe what's happened to him and if she can help him. You're going to find that you're going to be engaging in some very odd activities. Lots of sort of weird, kind of goofy stuff that ranges from stealing clothes to giving massages and other very odd things that you wouldn't necessarily expect in a Final Fantasy game. Probably one of the biggest changes to the gameplay is the fact that the game now features a mission-based structure. And you're basically going to undertake missions. The game now has a traditional world map. You're going to be able to move across it in the Celsius, which is Yuna's very swanky little airship that is, multi-level, houses her crew, has a little mini bar and hotel, and apparently has an intercom system that plays a lot of disco. You can actually go anywhere on the world map to a ton of different locations, but only a couple actually have missions that you can actually do. Now, if you come at it from a very traditional way, you're just going to immediately seek out all the mission places, complete them, and move on to the next story level. But the thing is, you can actually go to the areas that don't technically have anything for you to do and explore them and kind of talk to people, and in some cases participate in side quests and find other things that could be useful. The other big change in the game is the combat system. The core of it is pretty much what you know, which is turn-based combat. You have a party of 3 in this case, and you're taking on a variety of different enemies. Now, the really it gets weird because there's these things called dress spheres that you can find, which are sort of along the lines of the job system that you've seen in previous Final Fantasy games. The dress spheres will let you change into different outfits that will actually give you new abilities. When you start out the game, you have a pop star ability, and a mage, and a thief, and a warrior, and you can sort of cycle in between all of them. And each one, besides giving you a saucy new outfit, gives you really cool abilities. I have to say it's really kind of interesting to see that Square has actually gone ahead and taken a chance I mean, one of the criticisms that have been leveled against the company have always been that, they're very by the numbers with a lot of their Final Fantasy games. This is definitely not by the numbers. This is kind of weird, kind of loopy, very eccentric, very cool too. I mean, it's different and they're taking a chance, so I'm happy to see it. Square USA hasn't exactly confirmed that Final Fantasy X-2 is coming here, but you can pretty much bank that it is going to be released in the US. We're going to have more information on that in the coming months. But until then, check out our stuff on the game and look for more in the coming weeks, because we're not done with it yet.